Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Minamoto. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and would really help us out. Thanks for your support. Boobs. Now that I have your attention, hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, show where we let you know if you want to roll on an upcoming 5-star. See what Yeah, that's how that works. So, we're back again with Wanted. Expect Wanted to be fairly frequently over the next few weeks, months, years, on how that goes. And so, as a reminder, Wanted is a show we do about 5 stars, usually limited ones. Actually, we're going back to the origin of Wanted today. We're going to talk about a actual new 5-star who is limited, and that's Raikou, Minamoto no Yorimitsu. But, basically, we will do a quick overview on 4 areas. We will talk about their actual folklore and mythology. We'll talk about their fate lore. We'll talk about their mechanics, and then we'll talk about their rarity, all of which should give you everything you need to know if you want to pull for them or not. You know, maybe not now, maybe later. You never know. And I think we got an interesting one up for you today, because we're going to talk about Raikou, which is always an interesting subject. And very fatey, not going to lie. Lots of fate stuff going on here. Very fate. Alright, let's jump into it. So, the background. The actual historical character of Minamoto no Yorimitsu was a vassal of the Fujiwara clan who took more aggressive or violent measures than the Fujiwara were actually able to. Was a noted military commander, quelled some bandits, did some other stuff, was also known as a governor, and served as a commander of the Imperial Guard, and was a secretary in the Ministry of War. So, very famous real exploits. And of course, naturally, as this was a historical character from about years 950 to 1000 and something or so, you know, long time ago. They're also tied to a lot of folklore and legends. So they're tied into the legend of Kintaro the Golden Boy, aka Skintoki, who's actually also a historical character. Legend of Tsuchin Doji, Legend of Tsuchigumo, lots of other little things there. If you're interested in some of the way that works out, go ahead and jump on back to our other wanted videos on Kintoki and Shuten Doji, of course. You can check out some more stuff there. Also, fun facts, Minamoto no Yorimitsu's sword is one of the 5 best swords in Japan, supposedly. It's a national treasure, still kept to this day. And would be remiss to not mention that Raikou was accompanied by the 4 guardians, which include Kintoki and some others. Had quite a few legendary items lying around. But yeah, it's a broad overview of the mythology. There are quite a few component folklores, so if you want to track down individual legends, you feel free to do that in your own time. Okay? Alright, let's go ahead and jump into fate stuff, because this will be a much longer segment. So, this is where things, shall we say, get weird. Yes, Raikou's fate lore is a little scattershot and a little strange. So obviously, first thing, yes, Raikou in FGO is a woman. They are a gender flip. Kind of, they're also conflated with another character who may also be gender flip. Listen, it's weird. We're going to talk about it. Okay, so step 1. In FGO, we've gone with the particular interpretation that Raikou is semi-divine. She has divinity C, as you'll see in the graphic. That comes from her being descended from Gozuteno, who is a divine figure, but also possibly a demonic figure, because she's got some demon or oni, or whatever you want to call it in there. Those may or may not be the same thing in Natsuverse-type lore. It's hard to tell sometimes. Anyway, so that's where her divinity comes from, and her association with a thunder god, because Gozuteno is a figure who is syncretic with Indra, the Hindu god. That has led to some fun times with her summer version, and some commentary from some other Indian servants who are very interesting about that. So, basically, Minamoto no Yorimitsu was kept in seclusion for a number of years, because she was born a lady, and also part demon god or something. Like I said, it's a little hard to unpack all this. There are more detailed explanations in like mats and stuff, but like I said, that's a little deeper than we need to go, and is deeper than the game itself presents. But basically, she's brought out, and she's really good at her job. She's really good at what she does, and becomes a very big, important person. Except that one of her famous battles is with Ushigozen, which is supposed to be a, demonic child. Except that Ushigozen is also Raikou. It's her manifestation of her demonic nature. So that great conflict was actually a conflict with herself or something. That's your pseudo-spoiler for Onigashima there. Sorry about that. But, hey, you probably knew that already if you looked up the event at all. Anyway, that's kind of just, the big weird deal about her character. Otherwise, it's pretty normal. It's important to note that as a berserker, she has a very high level of madness enhancement. That's kind of her inner demonic nature coming out. It doesn't necessarily impact her intelligence or her ability to articulate. Instead, it warps her worldview. She has a very weird understanding of relationships, and particularly she has this mothering relationship with both, like, say, the player character in Kentucky, which is just weird because she doesn't necessarily understand how to divide those boxes mentally. So yeah, Mama's weird. That's why everybody calls her Mama, but she's weird. It's an EX madness enhancement. It's like Kyuhime levels of warped perception. And of course, as I mentioned, obviously she's related to Kentucky in the Fate setting and also in the real folklore. So they obviously have a little bit of relationship there, which, you know, deeply creeps out Kentucky because Raikou really doesn't have any breaks. It's all those high-level berserkers, you know, you think they're normal, but they're not. And that's really all the high-level lore you need to know. Like I said, you can read some of the deeper mats to get a better idea of how that self-conflict works and stuff like that. But yeah, let's move on to the mechanics. So mechanically, Raikou's a pretty good servant. She's a 5-star berserker, so obviously this means her stars-related stats are terrible, but that's just to be expected. You can work around a little bit of that. We'll cover that in a second. Her NP gain seems a little weak, but remember, she does have 2 arts cards and a quick card with decent hit counts, so it's not bad, it's probably just okay. Not super high, but it'll work out. And of course, you can enhance that with support. Remember, no servant stands alone. You can see her deck right there and all her other stuff. Her NP is pretty simple. It's a AoE buster, which does big damage and greatly improves her star generation with overcharge. Pretty simple. You use it to wave clear. Her core attack is pretty good, not the highest, but, you know, nothing to stick at. Now, let's look at some of her skills, because obviously skills can help servants out a lot. And so she has Eternal Arms Master, which is a great holdover from your other big berserker, you know, wave sweeper, which is Lancelot. This greatly boosts her star gather rate, so she can actually obtain critical stars. It's her first skill, it's pretty key. Her second skill is Mana Burst Lightning. It's not as good as other pure mana bursts in terms of, like, damage enhancement, but, you know, if you're gonna bust her Brave Chain, it could be a thing. Also, it's a lot like, say, Jean's Ephemeral Dream, or Jack's, I forget the name of it, but her quick plus evade buff, and that it gives her 1 turn of evade. So it can be an emergency button, and also you just don't have to worry about what's coming. You know, if you do a setup turn with, like, NP Buster, you can also, you know, move in and keep yourself alive for that next turn. Our third skill is probably the best one. That's when you see a lot of use out of, besides just mana bursting for more damage, is Mystery Killer A. This improves damage against demonic enemies, and then does extra bonus damage versus servants who are Earth or Heaven attribute, including certain pseudo-servants and demi-servant, aka Mash, because she is an Earth type normally, but this doesn't work against her because she's not Mystery. It's a pretty big buff. It starts at 30% and then goes all the way to 50%, and then remember that's further increased versus Earth and Sky also. So it's basically a nice overlap. You can get a lot of hits out of certain servants, namely the Onis, like Iraki and Shutendoji, and there are a few mobs. They won't get the servant bonus damage, of course. But yeah, so it gives her a decent cross-section of servants to hit, because Earth or Heaven is a very popular zone. And then real quick, let's talk about passives. She has a okay magic resistance. She's got that EX Madness enhancement we mentioned before, which means her buster cards do a lot of extra damage. Probably why her attack is only okay. She actually has a writing buff. She only got 1 quick card, but it's enhanced pretty good. And then, as we mentioned, she has a divinity for a flat offensive buff. So altogether, you can see she's a damage dealer, really good at sweeping waves. If you can find enemies she's good against, she will do pretty big damage to them, especially if they happen to exist in that cross-section of the bonus damage. Otherwise, you still have the classic drawbacks of being, you know, an AoE Buster Servant. Your damage multiplier is low. Means you do need to attack on that extra damage. And of course, her star generation can be okay when juiced up by her NP, but remember that's only for 1 turn, so you have to, like, chain it into something. And obviously, even if she's not necessarily generating critical stars, she can actually use critical stars for big hits with her first skill. Probably needs some support to make her kit really click, but otherwise, she's a berserker with some buster cards. You're gonna smash some enemies. Pretty typical for the big busters. Now let's talk about Rarity. Raikou is actually a pretty rare servant. You're looking at Onigaishima, which is right now. And then there's going to be a rerun in about a year. It'll actually be a little before a year, but thereabouts. Where she will also be on Raid Up. During the Shimosa chapter, there's a part 2 campaign which puts her and Shutendoji on Raid Up, a complex one, and then in the Setsubun event, which is in a couple of years, basically it ran earlier this year in Japan, so it'll be a couple years for English server. That includes a rolling Raid Up between her, Shutendoji, and Kintoki. So yeah, she's only got a couple of Raid Ups, so if you really want her, now is one of the good times to commit. Though, of course, the rerun might be at a better time, you know that's coming for sure, like clockwork in about a year. And if you're interested in maybe some of the other servants, you might wait a little longer for one of those dual Raid-Ups. Like, if you're gonna roll for her, but you want Kato Danzo, who is a story lock, that Shimosa Campaign 2, that might be a good pick, you never know. Want a good chance to roll her, and Tomoe? You never know. But that's how it is. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little shorter than some of them worked out, but other than rambling about how just weird Raikou's lore is sometimes, there's not a lot to cover here. Her mechanics are pretty simple. You can suck up the critical stars, and then you boost damage a lot. And also one of those damage boosts to evade. It's pretty simple. She's a berserker, you use her to hit things. Sometimes you hit things with buster cards, sometimes with crits, sometimes you hit things with buster card crits. Who knows? Lots of people are going to be into her for her design, shall we say, and then, as noted, that abnormality of personality. Get that rhyme. Anyway, we'll be seeing you in whenever the next Wanted needs to come out. If you're interested in some of the other servants on Raid Up during the Onogashima banner, tune into our regular Let's Talk FGO show. We'll cover those there, and probably talk about how we feel about Onigashima then. Will Lucky get his mama? We'll go from there. So it's been fun. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can let us know about that in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like the video, and you can reach us more directly for comments if you join our Discord. That's in the description. And of course, if you're new here and have not already, please subscribe. It's a great way to keep track of our videos. Also, keep track of our videos by not forgetting to hit that bell. Turn on. You can also keep track of our videos by supporting us on Patreon, because you can get access to episodes early, as well as audio downloads for certain shows, Discord integrations, fun stuff like that. It's a real fun time. Consider doing it, because it'll really help us out, and also it'll help you out, because you get more stuff. That's the end of the show, folks. I will see you, once again, whenever Wanted comes out, wherever there's a need for a poster about a new servant.